Somebody has just written on a Facebook that the next speaker is going to be the young Havas' Bradley Cooper. Is that correct? Who wrote that? Well, somebody has. Somebody has. And the guy is called Mark Adams. Mark, please come to the stage. Senior Vice President, Vice Media LLC. Welcome, Brad.
Hi, how you doing?
Hi, nice to see you.
Oh,
So
you're
we're
just
going to
really
speak of
disappointed
content.
now.
That's real. Somebody did write it.
Are you serious?
Somebody did write it, yes.
I'll give you the money later, thank you. Guys, I know that it's nearly lunch, so I've only got 20 minutes. I'm also really hungover. So I'm just going to give it to you really raw and probably face the wrong way. I'm just going to face this way, actually. So you're going to get it really uncut from me. First of all, yeah, the Twitter thing. If you do the tweeting, tweet me, abuse me, whatever. And that's my email if you want to talk about it a bit more. So I'm in this kind of mood today where I just wanted to cut the BS. And, you know, we're talking a lot about content marketing. And I was like, what does it mean? Like, what is it? Like, content marketing. Yeah, okay. So I wanted to talk about 2016 being the year of content marketing, blah, blah. How do we actually make sense of it? What does it mean? So I've got 20 minutes. I might as well just give it to you both guns and see what you think. So Vice, I'll explain a little bit more about what Vice is later on. But basically, I wanted to talk about the Vice content mindset. So how do we make content at Vice? I'll come on to what Vice is. The second thing is I was writing this at about 3 o'clock in the morning this morning, and I was feeling a little bit like, if I'm honest, I was feeling a little bit like, with everything that's happened this week, I was a bit like, why am I in marketing? Like, I actually started thinking, like, why do I do marketing? Like, I was a human rights lawyer, and I was going to change the world, and I was so convinced I was going to do something, and now I help brands make more money, and I can see other people going like this, yeah, I know what you mean. So I thought, let's just have a therapy session. Let's just, all of us, take our hats off of marketing, put them on the floor, and be human beings, the same human beings we are when we're at home with our kids or our wives or I don't have any of those things because I'm too young and too immature. But one day I hope to. So I just wanted to kind of bring out the humanity and kind of get past the persona that you have when you meet someone for the first 5 minutes. You know, hello, where do you work? Oh, Vice. How long have you worked there? Oh, amazing. This is not that conversation. I want to have the conversation that we have at 2 o'clock in the morning when we're all drunk and none of us smoke and we're all looking for a cigarette. So, okay, so this is a therapy session. So I wanted to say, let's start by accepting some really hard truths. This is what Vice does. Vice is now a $5 billion content business. And a lot of that money comes from making content for brands. And one of the reasons that I realized that Vice was quite successful was because they accept some really hard truths to start off with. And I thought this would be worth sharing with you guys. So the first one is that there is no trust amongst young people. Young people do not trust me. They definitely do not trust you. And they definitely do not trust brands. And it's no real surprise when you start to look at every single institution, whether that's government, media, brands, even institutions of religion, every single one of them in this century has been, oh God, I'm sorry, God, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Okay, does somebody want to take over? Okay, we've angered God. So that's a good start. Anyway, where was I? Institutions, yes, institutions. Nobody really trusts them anymore. You don't trust them, really. But what happens to us when we go in the boardroom is something, I don't know, I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's suddenly like the people that we really are when we're having a few drinks or we're talking to one another normally, suddenly just go away, and then this new person comes about who wants to impress their boss or wants to, you know, tick the box of the demographic that we need to hit in the market and the thing. But really, we're not thinking about something really important, which is that none of this really means anything if they don't trust us. And the reason they don't trust us is not just because they're starting to realize that they've been lied to for a long time. It's also because of this thing that we talk about all the time, but I don't think we really get to the point of why we talk about it, which is social media. So just on Facebook, we now know 2.5 billion people connected on this thing. that's interesting. Yeah, it's cool, it's exciting. But you know what it also is? A massive, massive problem. Because now, whatever I say, I'm broadcasting to you guys now. I wish we could have a conversation, but it just really wouldn't work. But everything I say, I hope you're judging me for. And I hope that you're calling me, you're kind of saying, I don't believe that. And actually, he's wrong. And that's good. You should do that. That's important. But the problem is, now you can share that on Twitter, and then you can get the rest of the audience to say, yeah, he's full of shit. And this is what social media is doing. So as brands, we keep thinking like broadcasters, and we put things out there, and we go, oh, yes, it's perfect. It's perfect. And then we walk away, and then young people come along and go, because they don't care what we built. They just care how they think about it. And now social media has connected them together in a way that means that they can start liking and sharing and commenting. So you end up with this situation where it doesn't matter who you are. You could be a brand, or you could be a government, or you could be the police. You could be Volkswagen, or you could be LAPD. It doesn't make any difference. Social media is a big problem if you think in the old school way, because you're not coming with a certain game. It's like entering the game, you're entering the wrong game. The game's a lot more hardcore than it used to be. So we've got this thing, and I think the reason why Vice has become a $5 billion business is because it plays in the tension and the contradictions between old and new media. It makes really good stuff, really expensive, nice, high-quality stuff. Our creative director is Spike Jones, who made Her, Where the Wild Things Are, good stuff. But also it makes it in a way with an energy that's different, just a different energy. And that's one of the things I wanted to kind of share with you guys when you're thinking about content marketing. The second thing that we say at Vice is that bad content decisions make a brand very vulnerable. That's because young people have been marketed to since literally the day they were born. They've received 21 million marketing messages by the time they're 18. So let's just hope that they're just genetically resistant to marketing. But I think it's worse than that. I think they are violently resistant to marketing. Bad marketing. Bad marketing. And that was a really good Post-it note video that Anna showed us there. It's incredible. Because now we're seeing that 61% of the people that we're surveying are saying that they're installing ad blocker or considering it. And by the way, the only people who aren't installing ad blocker or considering it are people like me who are too old to think about it. And my little brother's saying, what do you mean you don't have ad blocker? And now you've got Apple iOS 9 update saying, yeah, you can install ad blocker, and the number 1 and the number 2 downloads on the App Store were ad blockers for a couple of weeks. So the game is changing really fast, and we really need to accept it. This is all very depressing, but it gets nicer, I promise. The only good news about the first two things, that they don't trust us, and that they're literally, trying to get away from us, is that actually, most likely, that whatever we make, we won't get seen anyway. So that's a bit depressing too, but that's because we've unleashed a tsunami. We have unleashed something so powerful, we haven't got our heads around it yet. 300 hours of content goes up on YouTube every single 60 seconds. 300 hours every 60 seconds. It's insane. And now Facebook's moving really big into video, and you've got Vine, you've got Snapchat, 2.5 million posts on Facebook every single minute. So what makes us think that we're going to make something as a brand, even as Vice, that anyone is going to notice? So this is one of the biggest problems. And then the final one, this is the end of the depressing bit, hopefully it gets happy, and then God will be happy again, is that there's zero demand for what's being made. So after all that, we have this situation where we have so much media now, that media is almost a supply and demand market. And the problem about that, if you guys can remember, I was of this age where I had a mini disc, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I was like, guys, check it out. It's called mini disc. You guys might know what it is. And they were like, yeah, I don't really like it. So apart from me and maybe a few people here, mini disc didn't really have enough demand. And yet they made millions and millions and millions of them, and they spent 7 years making it. And so what constantly happens is we're doing that as brands, but it's worse than that. Because it's exponentially worse because of the reasons I told you, because there's so much content. What we're doing as brands is we're making loads more stuff that nobody wants to see. No one. That's a fact. Like, If we didn't work at the brands we work for, we would never watch the stuff we make. We would never do it because we'd be like, if you show it to your like 17-year-old, someone in your life, whoever it is, and they'll be like, if you don't explain what it is, they'll just be like, I don't have the time for this. And that's why advertising is so vulnerable right now, because it takes your time but doesn't deposit anything back. So I wanted to kind of start with that kind of hardcore synthesis. So every day, content marketing is born in the boardroom, but unfortunately, it dies in the system. The system is too big, it's too much information, and we can't cut through. So pretty brutal, but I think if we accept those 4 things, we'll do well. But if we don't accept those 4 things, honestly, it's going to be bad. It's going to be a bad 10 years for the whole of advertising. So how do we win? How do we win? First of all, let's analyze where the brands get it. This is quite fun. I'll just let you read these. I cut these off of my Facebook page yesterday morning. First of all, Burger King here, in the middle of everything I've just explained, are asking, can you find the hidden chicken nugget? Like when you find it. Are you serious? Are you actually serious? I mean, someone must have been on LSD when they made this. And then over here we've got, somebody's calling me. Hang on. Mark, can I speak to you in a little bit? Yeah, okay, thank you. Sorry. Yes, sorry about that. Campari would like to know, this is basically a psychopath has got in control of the brand and has created something that only he wants to know. And he's asked, if you could sum up the last 150 years of Campari in 3 words, what would they be? I mean, yeah, fair enough question, right? And this is why I love the internet, because someone has written crap social media. So what I find incredible is that a social media agency or a creative agency or a media agency or someone has been paid by the brand to do this, and then someone at the brand looked over it and said, I like it. And then they've targeted me with ads. So this ended up in my newsfeed because they paid for it to be there. So now we have this question, and we've all read how brands grow, right? It's a classic, like reach, frequency, create salience, distinct memory structures, refresh the distinct memory structures. Well, now, this is the opposite, because this is what advertising does when it refreshes the fact that the brand is a complete idiot. So you start going, it's kind of like, hi, Eva there, right? We just met yesterday, Eva and I. Nothing weird going on. We just met, went for a drink. It's no problem. Anyway, problem is, imagine that I met Eva and I said, oh, Eva, do you remember that time when we were in the restaurant and I ordered the potatoes? And Eva would say, yeah. And then I'd say, yeah, fucking hell, that was amazing. And then imagine Eva started leaving her house and I had taken out a billboard saying, remember the potatoes? And then she was walking along the road and she walked past a bus stop and the bus stop had like a hologram on it saying like, remember the potatoes, Eva? Like, it doesn't mean anything. So there's lots of reach and there's lots of frequency and it creates salience, but all it does is remind Eva that she shouldn't take my call because I'm insane. So this is what we're doing all the time. And then we wonder why 73% of young people say they don't care if brands just die and disappear because there's no meaning. And bringing that back, this is Skoda. I just can't even understand. I can't even get my head around this one. Right, okay. This is the best one, I think. To you, which side of a Skoda is more important, front or back? And then this is why I love the internet. Gus Ferguson, I've never met him, but if he was here, I would buy him an apple juice. Gus Ferguson says, that awkward moment when you realize the whole of the internet is laughing at you. And then his comment has 4,399 likes and 95 replies all saying, you're the man, I love you, you're the best. and somewhere in a media agency, someone's saying, engagement's going up on the page. This is what's happening, and we're doing this all the time. So, do brands get it? No. Anyway, let's chill. Let's chill. I'm going to play the piano for a little while now. I can't play the piano. Anyway, so Vice, this is what Vice do. We think that we might have found a way through, and I think we would say that, but I'll let you see this video, and then you can explain what Vice is. It does it a lot better than I do.
Shane Smith is here. He is the co-founder and CEO of the international media company Vice. He wants Vice to be the next CNN, the next ESPN, and the next MTV digitally. You've also said you want to be the Time Warner of the street.
We already are the Time Warner of the street.
Vice magazine, which started in Montreal in 1994, it's become a global empire. You got Vice.com, international network of digital channels, TV production studio, a record label, an in-house creative services agency. Describe the Vice brand. What is it?
Vice is the voice of a generation. The world's first truly global, multi-platform youth media company. Vice delivers hours of original video content every day, covering the news, culture, and entertainment that define the world we live in.
Everyone was investing platform, money into platform, but no one was saying, well, what are we going to fill that pipe with?
Vice is a network of channels, each geared to the passions of young people today. Vice.com is the global portal to all of these exciting channels.
Are you a masochist?
Noisy is the most exciting, original, and inspiring music channel on the web.
I'ma do me, and I'ma be me.
Motherboard documents the present and future of science and technology. Thump is a total immersion into electronic dance music.
The party goes on.
The Creators Project is a celebration of art and creativity.
This is for the globe.
An ID brings together the worlds of the runway and the street. Munchies is defining a new era in food programming.
Oh, so good.
Vice Sports is a fresh take on the culture of sports.
My legacy will always live on.
And Vice News, the fastest growing news channel on the web, is leading a revolution in news reporting for and by young people.
You know, this is what it is here. It's chaos.
Since launching 1 year ago, Vice News has quickly become a powerful new voice and trusted source.
My guest tonight is a journalist for ViceNews.com who witnessed it firsthand.
With the pioneering Vice on HBO series winning an Emmy, Vice and HBO are dramatically expanding their relationship.
It's like the most heartbreaking thing I've ever experienced.
In addition to tripling the amount of episodes and specials we're producing each year, we'll be launching a half-hour daily newscast that will dramatically expand our storytelling.
You're going to see a lot of those stories in a way that you're not going to see anywhere else.
Through deep support from partnerships with YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and now Snapchat, Vice is creating the best original content for every screen and platform, reaching hundreds of millions of young people every month with unprecedented levels of engagement.
Young people today have been marketed to since they were newborns. They've developed the most sophisticated bullshit detectors of all time. And the only way to circumvent that bullshit detector is to not bullshit. The people who shoot it have to be young. The people who cut it have to be young. The hosts have to be young. So if something is created in a boardroom, it will not work.
Vice and its growing network of channels is defining the future of news and entertainment for young people everywhere.
There's a changing of the guard every generation in media, and we are the changing of the guard for Gen Y.
I hope you enjoy that video because I'm so bored of seeing it. I can't watch it one more time. Literally, I had to just go and get myself a drink and just look away. I dream about that video. I see it every day. Anyway, what am I talking about? My screen's gone off, so let's come back on again. So what's Vice? I thought I should say this. This is not something I do in the UK, but I thought it was worth saying because We've just launched a Vice office here in Poland. I think it launches on January the something, probably January the 1st. So, the point is now, Vice is a big business now, right? So we keep growing. People call us the Millennial Whisperers, big numbers, whatever. This is boring. 38 offices worldwide. This is quite interesting. 2.5 billion YouTube views on our content this year. That's interesting. And you know what's more interesting is about 95% of that is organic. So I'm constantly, amazed by this, because if we took the view that we had to buy media to be successful behind everything we make, we would be bankrupt. We can't do that. We're a media owner. We can't just put media behind everything to make it successful. We have to make something that is truly organically successful. So that's interesting. And we're now getting 300 million people a month coming to view our content and making about 10 hours a day. And as it says there, we've just announced we're going to do our own TV station, which is cool, or could be a disaster, I don't know. And last year we won 4 Emmys. So we really love making content, and I think we're quite serious about it. Everybody knows what this is? Yes. Second biggest content deal in the history of HBO, Game of Thrones. Guess what the biggest content deal in the history of HBO is? Vice. Of course. I'd like to just flip it and put another brand in there so you'd be like, oh, what's that about? But 1,300 hours, so HBO, which we consider, not too bad at understanding what good content looks like, bought 1,300 hours of content from Vice in a deal that we just did last month. So we're really excited by that kind of stuff. But that's not interesting. What's interesting is how do you apply all of that to marketing, to solve Campari and Burger King and Skoda's problems? So I just wanted to finish off by saying that I think that successful content marketing takes a lot of the same problems. It has all the same problems that I mentioned at the beginning. And I think that you can really, really win with some really simple things that can become part of the culture. So one of the things I'd love, if the only thing you guys take away from this is be more annoying. Be more annoying to your colleagues. Be more annoying to the brands that are giving you briefs. Brands hate us because we turn down loads of briefs, because we don't need to make money out of that. So they hate it. They're like, but we're Coca-Cola. What do you mean you're not going to do it? And we're like, no, we're not going to do it. It's not a very good idea. It's not going to work. They're like, wow. So, but one of the things that we try and do is try and keep that kind of, that aggression around believing in something when it comes to content. So this is another video which I cannot be bothered to show you. But this is what I wanted to finish off with. The Vice must-dos about content marketing. And look, this might sound a little bit, I am hungover, but I really want you to think these are not like suggestions. I don't think this is stuff you might want to do, maybe you don't want to do. This is literally how you win, as far as I'm concerned. That's how you build a $5 billion content business. Just follow these rules. Number one, content needs a community. It's an embarrassing moment when you realize that an energy drink has a better space program than your country does. And that was that moment with Red Bull when they sent someone into space. But that only got 1 billion views. And I think Jez earlier on was speaking about other YouTubers getting 10 billion views. And one of them is here. This girl unboxes things and talks to the camera about a cat and has 10 billion views. Now, how is this possible? Well, one of the things that I was really interested in was before my business before this, I did something else, and it was with Sean Parker, who was Justin Timberlake from The Social Network, as everybody knows. But what was amazing was in his office, he had this thing. And what you can see, because I can't do this all at once, but what you can see on this thing is those big white spots. That's what an engaged community looks like on Facebook. So that's Facebook on a particular day in 2010. And what you can see is the big white dots are engaged communities that are having a very interesting time around that content. And what you can see is those lines that are coming out from those communities, that's lines of share. So that's literally sorry to annoy you again, God, but that's what God sees. That's God's view of Facebook, And so my question, first of all, is, if I was going to launch, this weird thing that they've given me, if I was going to launch this, I would think that I would be negligent, or at least not very good at launching products, if someone asked me, who are the early adopters? Who are going to be the first people that are going to use this thing? And I said, don't know, just everybody. That wouldn't be very clever. But that's what we do all the time in marketing. We say, so who's it for? Like just everyone, just buy loads of media and then everyone really. No, that doesn't work. You have to stick it into the system. This is what the system looks like, right? So what do you want to launch it from? You want to launch it from that tiny little dot that you can't see in the very corner, because that's the Ford brand page, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't have any resonance. Or do you want to launch it from one of these influential points in the network? And that's why we always say engage a community of early adopters. So I'm just going to quickly show you this. This is some work that we did. I don't even understand it because it's in Polish, but I hope it makes some sense. And this is something we did with YouTubers.
Iza.
Foczka! Chciałam dać buziaka prawdziwemu przystojniakowi.
Marta!
Bąbelek.
Księżniczko! Całujecie! Marta! Marta, gdzie jesteś? Marta!
O co tutaj chodzi?
Now, what's amazing about that video is it doesn't make any sense. But that's the whole point. Because all these people are very, very famous on YouTube, on Twitter, on these different social platforms. And so they live in this world where we don't really, unless you follow them, you don't know what they're saying there. But they're saying all their catchphrases, the things that they're very well known for saying. So that video ended up getting 2 million hits in the first month. And it continues to do really, really well now because it was released to a specific community of people that would understand exactly what was being said there, although we are all like, what's that about? But that community knew what that was, and they shared it amongst their millennial friends, and it did really, really well. And so one of the things that we do at Vice is that we basically have 11 channels, and we're going to launch some more next year. You know, as I mentioned in the video, music, technology, food, sport, fighting, which is my favorite, fashion, and a female channel called Broadly. And what's amazing is these channels basically have millions of people going to them every single day. So going back to that slide there, these channels are very engaged places on the network. So they're a very good place to launch content from because you're going straight into a community. So the second thing is, what we do all the time, and I think really works, is creating real emotion by just humanizing. And I feel like, this is maybe just my week that I've had, but I honestly feel like we just somehow managed to forget that we're all human beings somehow. And we make stuff that's so branded and so over the top with the branding idea that it doesn't connect with anyone human. And what I wanted to say, kind of just for you guys, just to take away, is that there's an infinitely huge demand for one thing that will never, ever, ever run out. And after we've kind of had some food and maybe made some kids and got married and found someone we love, this is the most important thing. And it's stories. It's human stories. We never, ever, ever get bored. We're not running out of our interest for human stories. Netflix proves it. HBO proves it. The consumption of digital media proves it. Every single platform now is talking about storytelling. But when you make it human, suddenly it starts to resonate in a new way. And the one thing that we do, I think, at Vice, and I'd love you guys to kind of take this as a takeaway, is inside every meaningful brand, it doesn't necessarily work as well for maybe this, but I'm sure you could find out what's meaningful about this. There is an idea that's waiting to be turned into content marketing. And that's all we really need to do. And we just need to remember, as a final thing, that content marketing must be an emotional deposit. It can't be a withdrawal. Like I mentioned about ads, that's psychologically a withdrawal all the time. It's kind of like my phone will ring a lot just before festivals in the UK. So I don't get a call from anyone. And then suddenly, hello? Yeah, who's this? Oh, Dave, yeah, how are you? Haven't seen you since that conference last year in Poland. Yeah, cool. Yeah, man. You what? Oh, you want guest lists to the festival? Oh, okay. So I think Dave's a dick, basically. He doesn't ever give me anything. He just wants something from me. And that's what brands are like. Brands don't woo you. They don't engage you. They don't court you. They just get in your face and interrupt the thing that you're trying to do and follow you around the internet. And it's a really psychological type of interruption, this. Because in the old days, if you were sitting around in the house and, mum and dad and the kids, and then, the TV break would come on and you'd say to mum, how was your day? And she'd say, yeah, and you'd turn the volume down, you'd have a little chat. But when you're just on your own, listening to an emotional piece of music or something, and then suddenly you get like a poker advert come that's unskippable. I get this, I'm sure it's the same, women get the various things, but I'm a guy from London, I'm 32, so someone at media companies thought, that guy must love poker. I've never played poker in my whole life, but I'll be listening to like, Sigur Rós or something, like maybe, I'm feeling a bit melancholy like I have been this week, and I'm thinking about life, and then suddenly an unskippable ad says, all right, mate, you want to go put a bet on the football, be amazing, and it's 25 seconds, and I can't skip it. And I'm thinking to myself, show me who can I pay to make this go away? And that's our strategy. That's been our strategy for the past 5 years. So what can content do, and why is content different from advertising? I'll leave you with this. We are so in the red. We are so in the red in the emotional bank account. We are so overdrawn with every single one of these consumers, even ourselves, like we're consumers. And we know that most of these brands, they are completely overdrawn in our emotional bank accounts. Content is our first and best chance to put something back into that emotional account. Show that we're not, as brand people, just a bunch of psychopaths that want to know how you sum up 150 years of Campari or whatever it is. This is our chance to prove that we're not psychos, that we're human beings, and that the brand stands for something human. And every single time that has been done properly, it has worked. The first time I ever worked on a campaign for a brand was Dove Beauty Sketches. Now, Dove Beauty Sketches now had 480 million views. It won 19 Cannes Lions. And the insight at the center of it was originally going to be a TV ad, but the insight at the center of it was that the community of people we were trying to speak to were people on social media who get tagged in something and then say, oh, please detag me, I look terrible. Please, will you just detag me? Or get rid of that photo, can you take that photo down? Oh my God, please, I look awful. And then someone who loves them more than they love themselves says, no, you don't. You look really good, you look awesome, stop it. And it's making me sad that you say that. And so we made Dove Beauty Sketches, which I'm sure hopefully you've seen, and it melted the internet because it was human, and it was for a community of real humans who had a real human problem. And the reason why I think it's important to tell you that I'm hungover and that just act like an idiot is because I think it's really liberating, I hope it's really liberating to just go beyond the persona. Because what we're doing as brands is we're this deep, and people are this deep. And we wonder why we're not connecting with them. Because we're worried about the font and the thing and it's got to be longer with the brand. And meanwhile, young people are going, I don't even care if you disappear from the face of the planet because you've never engaged me down here as a person, as a human being. So one of the things I kind of wanted to leave you on was that. This is our chance. Content marketing is our chance. Advertising can do other jobs. We should put content there and then we should put ads all around the content, and we can put ads somewhere. But it means, to Eva's point, it means that finally I might be able to say on the side of my bus, I might be able to say, remember that thing that made you happy or made you sad or made you cry? And then you go, oh, that refreshes an important memory structure for me, not just a meaningless nothing memory structure. So I wanted to leave you on that one, but we had, Vodafone came to us, and they'd spent a lot of money over the years sponsoring things. And they really weren't getting what they wanted out of it. And so we made this platform for them. And you'll see, this is not an advert, okay? So this is not an advert. And everyone will ask, like, what does this do for the brand? Well, what it did for the brand is we created all these pieces of content and put them on one particular hub. And that hub exploded, absolutely exploded. And it meant that all the rest of Vodafone's advertising was more effective. It was tracking higher. People preferred the brand. Sentiment on every single type of social media went up because finally the brand had given something back to the human being. So I'll leave you with this. I just love it. It's an 88-year-old grandma, and the whole campaign was about doing things for the first time. And this 88-year-old grandma, we found her, and she had never been on a roller coaster. It's so simple. She had never been on a roller coaster. And we just said, let's stick her on a roller coaster and just film it. No, it's not a genius strategy. It's not, no one script wrote it. No one thought about how it was going to be designed. It's just human. And I honestly never get bored of it. So I'll leave you with this. Thank you so much.
Siete menora che bici così.
Wielkie brawo.